Hello and a warm welcome to Federal special program Capital Beat. U.S. Department of Justice and Securities Exchange Commission has indicted Gautam Adani and seven others, including his nephew Sagar Adani and three other executives, on charges of fraud and bribery. Now, this case pertains to a deal between Adani Green Energy Limited and a U.S. firm to sell 12 gigawatts of solar energy to various states like Tamil Nadu, Chhattisgarh, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, etc. Now, Adani Group has dismissed all allegations and said that these allegations are baseless. They've dismissed the charges and said the defendants are innocent until proven guilty. And he's also said that all the legal recourse will be sought. Now, Rahul Gandhi had held a press conference in the afternoon and he said that Adani should be arrested. He also targeted the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, saying that he is protecting the business tycoon Gautam Adani. Now, how is this development going to pan out, given the fact that the Parliament session, the winter session of Parliament, is just around the corner? Then what will be the political repercussions, and can Gautam Adani really face arrest? That's $1 million question. Joining me now is Supreme Court lawyer Sanjay Hegde. Thank you so much, sir, for joining. We have Siddharth Sharma, who's an independent media analyst. Thank you so much, Siddharth, for joining. And we have Giri Prakash, who's the business editor of The Federal. Thank you, Giri, for joining. And I'll begin with Sanjay Hegde. That is Gautam Adani really in a big trouble, and now there is no exit door for him?
Well, businessmen are constantly in trouble, and that's when they find exit doors. But sometimes businessmen go so big that small exit doors are not possible. Here is a case where I believe, and I'm from media reports, that there is a whole amount of data as to who paid how much to whom. It's like a Jane Hawala diary, like the Sahara diaries and all that. But you do not have as cooperative an investigating machinery in the United States as you have, as Mr. Adani currently enjoys here. So the point is that he is under an indictment. He's under an indictment under the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. An indictment is roughly a grand jury saying prima facie there is material to go to trial. Then at that stage, if there is no plea bargaining, there is no deal reached with the prosecution, then the matter proceeds to trial at a date which the judge then fixes after consulting everyone. Now, to bring him to trial, there may be questions of extradition, when can you bring him, etc., etc. But this indictment itself may have huge financial implications. The fact of the indictment will possibly raise the cost of debt as far as the Adani Group is concerned, and whether all those things can be handled is a matter which only time will tell. So I think that the Adani Group is in substantial trouble, which it cannot bully its way out like it is used to in India. This is before a non-Indian jurisdiction. However, that jurisdiction has also seen interesting times. The fact that somebody has been convicted is not a bar to even becoming president of the United States. We do not know exactly all the legal maneuvering that can or might or may take place. For the moment, it is very big news, and I think there is substantial trouble.
You're saying that there is substantial trouble for Gautam Adani, but the big question, which everyone wants to know at this point of time, that whatever fraud or whatever bribery has happened, of course, it has to be proved. It is a one-sided thing which is coming in front of everyone. And even the newspaper websites are very cautious while they are printing this story, with a caveat that this is just the legal side of it. And we have to hear the other side talking on this. Whereas Gautam Adani has come out, he said that the allegations are baseless, we'll take a legal recourse. But then are there chances that he will have to be extradited, and then Adani could face arrest? Or you think that somehow he will try and get away, and things will not reach that situation, Mr. Hegde?
Well, arrest is one of the worries. And sometimes you also see that there can be that nations refuse to extradite people. That is a matter of diplomatic negotiation also. For instance, when we got Abu Salem extradited from Portugal, we had to give them a commitment that we would not seek the death penalty. So the arrest stage, extradition may come in much later. For all you know, there might be a plea bargain also with US prosecutors. Whether the prosecution will continue to the stage of a trial, we are still uh, a few months away from all those things happening.
No,
Today,
but
we
Mr.
are at a stage where the prosecution has announced charges and that it has got a go-ahead from the grand jury. The indictment has been approved by a grand jury.
But Mr. Hegde, what kind of a commentary is this development as far as the Indian courts are concerned, as far as SEBI is concerned? Because U.S. Securities Commission is almost equivalent to what SEBI in India is. SEBI, all this while, had not investigated even a single bit as far as the Adani group was concerned. Similarly, the courts have also, wishy-washed the matter and said that, there is no need to doubt the regulator. So in a way, it was like a vicious circle. Nobody wanted to investigate the entire thing. Now this development coming from the US Department of Justice and the US Securities Commission, what kind of a commentary is it on the system in our country? Will the people not talk about it? Is the government really not worried as to what now people will say?
Well, the government has an answer in an old Rajesh Khanna song which says, "Kuch to log kahenge, logon ka kaam hai kehna." That often, that often is the mood there.
Hmm.
And there's also the proverb that none is so blind as he who will not see.
Hmm.
There is a deliberate attempt not to see. The question is, at what stage will this unseeing not do any further? The when there were allegations put out in the Hindenburg report, SEBI said, "Look, trust us. We will investigate." When it was said that SEBI had not done a fair investigation, the Supreme Court said, "Okay, let's take an overview of the matter." And then they said, "Okay, they seem to have done an investigation. I don't think there is enough material for us to go further." I'm sure that with all this fresh material, the Supreme Court will again be invoked. At that stage, what the court does, I would not venture to hazard a guess currently.
Okay. So, Siddharth, I'll come to you now that given the fact that Rahul Gandhi held a press conference, what could be the political repercussions now? A lot of leaders have come out and spoken, whether it is the left parties, whether it is Sanjay Singh of the Aam Aadmi Party, everyone has reacted on this story. And the only refrain amongst all has been that Prime Minister Modi is trying to protect Gautam Adani. Now, what do you think is going to be the political fallout of this episode?
Yeah, Neelu, one thing what happens wherever there is a financial fraud is that it's a very complicated puzzle packed in a kind of it's a package in a puzzle which is very difficult to fathom for the common people. And in the last 10 years, we know under BJP rule, everything comes out very simplified. So let me just try to simplify this whole sordid Adani saga for the viewers of the Federal. Adani has essentially today brought bad name to the Vishwa Guru called India. Today, the world is saying that Modi ji travels around with a fraud. Now that even Kenya is saying that, even Bangladesh is saying that, Switzerland is saying that, now United States of America is also saying that. The chronology of today's Adani bribe gate is very simple. In February 2024, just weeks before the Model Code of Conduct came into force, the Modi government came in with a solar power scheme for 1 crore households in India to put up solar panels over their rooftops and sell electricity and earn money. Now, Modi government then forced state governments like Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan to buy costly solar power from Adani Green Energy worth rupees 25,000 crore rupees. Now, Adani Green Energy, to put up this kind of huge infrastructure, needed to raise money. It raised that money in the United States of America. Now, today, the United States of America court finds proof that Adani bribed Indian government to get that solar energy contract. Court also now has proof that Gautam Adani personally met senior Modi government functionaries, and then other Adani official followed it up with photographs of the bribe recipients as well as PowerPoint presentations that were given to the United States money funders. Now, as per the rule of law in United States of America, one can raise money for business, but one cannot raise money for bribes. That is the US law. Now, United States court has now issued warrant against Modi ji's best buddy Adani. So today, India's biggest business tycoon, a sad commentary that India's biggest business tycoon, as well as India's national security advisor, both will get arrested if they land up if they set foot on the soil of United States of America. So essentially, BJP's Vishwaguru Gurudam lies in tatters. India, but there is a saving grace here. India can still salvage this global ignominy. We can remember the Embraer aircraft deal. The United States Justice Department then also had charged Embraer with violating foreign. There is some act called Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. And after that, the CBI took cognizance of that and registered a case in 2016. Now, either the Modi Sarkar or the judiciary can order a similar investigation into the present Adani bribe gate. Now, basically, this is a eureka moment for the entire BJP ecosystem, that even if in India there is BJP rule, across the rest of the world there is rule of law. That is the bottom line here. I think that I've tried to encapsulate it as briefly as possible. Now, how the political repercussions will happen, we'll have to wait and see.
All right. Now, coming to the business part of it, even Mr. Hegde, Giri said that, it's going to have huge financial implications. But also, what happens to the corporate governance? Are there not serious questions on how the corporate governance is taking place in India? And also, more than that, how about these solar energy projects? I was looking at one of the letters which has been issued by E.S. Sarma, the retired IS officer, and he said that there needs to be a thorough investigation into how these solar energy projects are being allocated. So what does it really go to show as far as the solar energy projects, the way they have been allocated and the way the governance is happening on a bigger scale?
Neelu, there are two parts to it, and let me start with the first one. Let me start with the clarification issued by Gautam Adani. He's talked about why he said these are just allegations. They need to be proved, and it isn't being proved, and he'll go to the extent of disproving it. But 95% of whenever US prosecutors come up with these kind of allegations, 95% of the time it gets proved. Okay, that is something that's given, and there's a track record to it. Let us look at other cases. For example, Pernod Ricard, Diageo. They also, apparently some of these liquor companies also bribed Indian officials. And they were indicted by the SEC, the regulator in the US. Now, this is not an isolated case, or it's not something, a campaign being run against Adani. These things have happened before. There are cases like this. So that is given. And as far as solar power or solar energy projects are concerned, it's one of the pet projects of the Modi government. Okay, just like the electric vehicles, right? So obviously, one or the other businessmen or the business houses will get to pick up these kind of projects. The fact of the matter is that Adani has already made it clear several times over that most of his revenues will come from these solar projects. Okay, and the fact that he's alleged to have bribed worth around $265 million to influence various governments to give him that kind of a project needs to be seen in that context. And therefore, there are 2-3 fallouts that might happen. That in other countries, wherever the Adani projects are there, for example, Australia and some of the European countries, investigations will surely start there because it's bound to start. This is not a small case. This is a very, very huge blow, not just to Adani Group, to the entire Indian corporate sector. It has to be viewed in that respect. It will become, see, I'll give you an analogy here. When Kingfisher Airline went down, the aircraft leasing charges also went up for a whole lot of Indian airline companies. This is the kind of impact it will have on Indian corporates when they plan to raise funds from international investors and bankers.
You were saying that it's a big blow to the entire corporate sector in India. Could you just elaborate it in a few lines, so that the viewers can understand that how is it a big blow to the other corporate sectors? And of course, there's a huge credibility crisis now which Adani will be facing internationally as well. And will he be able to go to other countries and invest like what he has been doing all this while?
No, usually it is the US. Whatever that happens in the US, other international investors take cue to that. Other countries take a cue to that, and they will start investigating. They will open up these kind of investigations and find out whether these things have actually happened. Now, but what happens, as Mr. Hegde said, what happens is that it will not only become difficult for him to raise funds, he will have to raise funds at a higher premium or at a higher interest rate, and that makes the projects very unviable for him. So in many ways, it's not a very good situation for him. And as far as the Indian corporates are concerned, the same thing will roll out. They will look at all these kind of projects that have happened in, say, in the rest of the world, and then this could be a sort of an example or a model for international investors to say that, we are not going to give you funds as easily as used to give it to you earlier. This will have repercussions across the board for Indian corporates.
Right. So that's a serious concern. But how do you see things as far as this aspect is concerned, Mr. Hegde, that if it becomes a serious problem for the entire corporate sector, I mean, what are the kind of troubles we see in the days to come? And what is the situation where this entire government has landed the things into?
See, ultimately, everything boils down to one single word: credibility and creditworthiness. If you do not have credible corporate governance in the country, if your corporations, which are funded from multinational money, indulge in bribery within the country, and thus make those who invest in such corporations also liable to certain penalties, then as the previous speaker said, the cost of money will go up. People will say, why should I pay? Why should I give the Indian corporate a loan at whatever is the normal London rate? But I will charge a premium on that, so that 2%, 3% extra. The cost of everything will go up. So one of our great selling points in the early 90s vis-a-vis China was, look, we have the rule of law in India. We have the rule of law, which is based largely on the Anglo-Saxon principles of law, which are usually understandable all over the world, and our standards are higher. Now, with that, if that is not seen as being true, the world will not say that, oh, Indians make a exception for the Prime Minister's best friend. Everybody else gets tainted with the Adani brush. So the sins of Adani can very easily visit the corporate sector as a whole. That is the danger. So this is indeed a wake-up moment. Either you clean out your stables, or you let things rot.
A strong comment coming from you there. But Siddharth, do you think that this cleanup is possible by the Modi government, as what Rahul Gandhi in the press conference said, that if Adani faces arrest, then obviously the position for Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also become very untenable. So is this cleanup really possible at this point of time? And how will the government really face it?
I think it depends upon the BJP ecosystem's psychology. BJP ecosystem essentially feels that the rules are for others, and for itself there is always an exception. So that is how the BJP entire ecosystem, uh, that is how it defines itself. That the rules are for others, and for me all are exceptions. Now in this case with Adani, everyone knows that Modi, Adani, these kind of people are the flagships of India in the international forum. They are the mast bearers. They are the masts. So you cannot call a flagship today becoming a black swan event tomorrow. If it's called as a flagship, then if the flagship sinks, your entire fleet also sinks with it. And the corporate culture in India is under question by the international business community today. So now it's up to the BJP government. I'm not just saying BJP government, the entire BJP ecosystem. When I say BJP ecosystem, that means that in the recent Lok Sabha elections, out of the people voted, out of every three person that voted, one was a BJP voter. So for the entire BJP ecosystem, it's a moment of I call this a eureka moment for them. They have to understand that they cannot impose rules on others and keep themselves as exceptions. If they do that, somebody else somewhere else in the world will impose some kind of their rule on them, and then it will come back and bite you. So that is what is happening with Adani. As Sanjay Hegde ji said, BJP ecosystem was thinking that India is ruled by BJP, whereas the world is being ruled by a rule of law. So that is the difference. That if the BJP the ecosystem understands this, I think just like in my earlier statement, I said there is an Embraer case precedent. The CBI can file a case after a similar case in the United States Department of Justice, but I don't know whether they will do it or not. Now, as Sanjay Hegde ji said, it can either this is a wake up moment. Either you can clean your stables now, or you can let it rot. Now, what happens is it's for time to tell.
Right, but towards the end, Giri, Trump will be assuming the presidency in sometimes in January, and given the fact that this development has come before he assumes the presidency, do you think that Trump will be able to save Adani, or a lot of things will have happened much before he becomes the president?
Uh, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think he'll meddle into these kind of things, because if he meddles into this, then then there are a lot of other cases that regularly come up with in front of SEC. He'll have to set a precedent for it. I don't think they will get into all these kind of stuff. There obviously are biases. I'm not saying they are not, but as far as these things are concerned, they'll have to get solved on their own. But the big issue is that our Indian stock exchange, the Bombay Stock Exchange, NSE, there are a whole lot of retail investors who invested in Adani stocks, have made a lot of money over the last few years. Around 45,000 crore of Adani stocks are with mutual funds, and today the Adani's market cap went down by around 2.2 lakh crores, and this keeps repeating all the time. And what does it show? What does it mean for the Indian retail investors? It means that slowly and slowly they'll start losing confidence, right? And they'll start investing elsewhere. So the market cap valuation of Adani will go down. So will the Sensex. Sensex will also get affected. So it's not a very good scenario.
Right. One quick question before I wind up the show: that do you see the possibility now of Nirmala Sitharaman or Madhvi Puri Butch, who's the SEBI chief, they could be coming out making a statement because after all, Securities and Exchange Commission, if they've come out with an indictment like this, what happens to Madhvi Puri Butch now? She's been sitting silently.
I think both of them shouldn't actually comment. They should keep quiet, because you're actually defending a corporate sector.
You're giving them a solution, right?
Corporate, you're actually defending an Indian. I mean, you shouldn't be doing that at all. I do hope that they don't comment and keep quiet.
All right, so we'll have to wait and watch how this entire development pans out in the coming days, given the fact that the Parliament session, the winter session of Parliament, is going to begin soon. There is already a demand for Adani's arrest, a JPC inquiry, a court-monitored probe. A lot of things are happening. So we'll have to wait and watch, especially how the legal developments take place in our country, especially after this. Oh, Mr. Hegde wants to make a point. Yes, sir.
No, I bet that Parliament, when it starts, will have some very engaging topic like the Waqf bill or some other communal thing to deviate from all this.
Okay. So we'll have to wait and watch, but interesting times ahead. Thank you so much, Mr. Hegde, Siddharth, Giri. It was wonderful having you on the program. And one appeal to the viewers who are watching this discussion: subscribe to our channel, send us your feedback, and stay tuned to The Federal.